Talk about volatility, guys. Holy smoke. So check it out. It's about 3:15 right now. We have all the indexes down after the press conference with Jerome Powell, which initially, once Jerome Powell came out, started talking, the markets were shooting up. As you guys can see, we had triple Q up to 315. I think SPY was at, let's see here where SPY was at. SPY was at about 402, and he mentioned one thing, which we'll talk about later in the video, that ended up shooting the markets right back down, literally straight down. You guys can see the cliff dive that the markets took after he said this particular thing. So if you all find value, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to get up to 17 stocks for Moomoo, linked right down below. More on that later. And now let's break down what the heck is going on. So right off the bat, we got a 25 basis point rate hike, which we all expected that. That was pretty much priced in. And the markets, once we got that news, the markets were creeping up, right? And again, Powell said this one thing that shot the markets right down. So we got a 25 basis point rate hike, and now the federal funds rate is between the range of 4.75, so 4.75 and 5%. So it's pretty much right in that range right now, and we can see again we shot to 402 on SPY, which was a big move. I mean, we were up at one point well over 1%, I believe, on SPY from yesterday's close. Yeah, actually about 1%. Triple Q was up well over 1% at one point, and now SPY is down. Let's see here. Now it's starting to shoot back up a little bit, but still it's down 1.4% from that recent high at about 2:45 p.m. on the East Coast, and Triple Q is down. Let's see here, from 315 to about 310. It is now down about 1.4% from that recent high. So there was a bunch of questions that were asked, to Jerome Powell around the banking situation, inflation, everything, right, guys, which we're going to talk about right now. So first things first, he was asked how seriously was a pause considered heading into the meeting. So if you guys didn't know, right, inflation has been hot. It's been hot for quite some time, but it's been coming down a little bit from the 9.5% peak. Now it's at 6, maybe a little bit over 6% in terms of the CPI. So one thing that a lot of people have been waiting for is, when is the Fed going to pause, and when is the Fed going to cut rates, or are they even going to cut rates anytime soon? So he was asked how seriously was a pause considered heading into the meeting, which is a very good question considering the banking crisis that we're seeing right now with Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic, Silvergate, all these regional banks that have been getting destroyed. That is a very good question. And he said they considered it heading into the meeting, but it wasn't 100% going to be, an 100% thing, right? Which is why we got the 25 basis point hike. But the fact that they considered it, that ended up shooting up the markets, contributed in the initial pump here during that the beginning parts of the press conference, right? And he was asked as well, is disinflation still occurring in the U.S. today? And I think somebody jokingly said that he mentioned it. Powell mentioned disinflation like 15 times in the last meeting back in February, and he said, I think Powell said, and everybody was laughing, that he was asked about disinflation like 12 times, which is why he mentioned that word so many times. But Powell said, yes, the disinflation story is still intact right now. Goods inflation has come down in the U.S. in the last 6 months. Housing services too, but they don't have a sign as of now of progress in the the non-housing services sector, which will have to come through softening demand, which who knows, we'll see if that does end up happening. So right now we are starting to see a little bit of a recovery here on Triple Q. You guys see that it's off the 309 low. Now it's at 312, so it is up another 0.9%. So yeah, talk about volatility, but still it's down a good amount here from that 315 peak. We have SPY now. Let's take a look at SPY very quickly, guys. Again, it's about 315 right now when I'm filming. It hit 402, dropped down to 395. Now we're starting to push back up to 400, which is good. It looks like the bulls, oops, I just knocked over my chapstick, guys. Looks like the bulls are starting to fight back. Let's see if it does end up, maybe retaking that high, which I don't know if that's going to happen today. Time will tell, guys. So disinflation, yes, is still intact. That is a good sign. 25 basis point hike. We expected that. That's what we got, right? And a pause, they considered it, but obviously they didn't go through with it. And right now the markets are pricing in another rate hike, I believe, for May, and then nothing after that in terms of more rate hikes. And of course, he was asked about Silicon Valley Bank, as we all expected him to be asked about, right? That's pretty obvious. He was asked about that. And of course, he went through the whole spiel of those deposits, many of the deposits being uninsured. That's just an outlier. That's not going to happen with other banks. He also said, or he was asked, can we feel confident that these weaknesses don't exist in other banks? He said, again, this is an outlier with Silicon Valley Bank and some of these other regional banks. He essentially said these problems that Silicon Valley Bank encounter, they're not throughout the entire banking system, which I freaking hope so. I pray that they're not throughout the entire banking system. And he said again, Silicon Valley Bank, some of these other regional banks like First Republic, they had a very high amount of uninsured deposits, right? And this right here, guys, you guys see the cliff drop right here that I was talking to you guys about from 402 down to about 395. No joke. If you were watching the press conference, you saw this in real time. When Powell was asked about the infamous cut, when are we going to get a rate cut? Because now with the banking crisis, a rate cut might be wise. Maybe not right this second, but down the line. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't want to say it's wise because we do have sticky high inflation, right? So it might not be the right time now, but at some point down the line, maybe this year, are we going to get a rate cut, right? He was asked that, and he said, participants do not see rate cuts this year. And I think I was talking about this yesterday or maybe the day before, that some economists out there were speculating that there will be a rate cut at some point. I think they were saying in August or at some point later this year, right? And the fact that Powell shot that down essentially, and he said participants don't see rate cuts happening this year, that ended up shooting the markets right down. The markets dumped the second that they heard that because, of course, the markets want rates to stop, the rate hikes to stop. Markets want us to see a pause right now, and of course, they would love to see a rate cut, as we all saw what happened over the course of a decade when, rates were near zero or at zero. Markets, stocks, real estate, they go up. That's what the stock market wants at the end of the day. So the second that he said, we're not seeing rate cuts this year, participants are not seeing rate cuts, that's when the markets ended up collapsing, right? You guys can see that right here. And essentially, that's when they gave back all of the gains that we saw heading into the press conference and during the beginning stages of the press conference. And look at this, guys. Funny enough, as I'm saying that, the markets are slowly starting to go green in real time. We have SPY up now 0.1%, triple Q's up about 0.75%. So that's erasing all the losses. Now it's going back to the green. We still have the Russell down about 0.8%. The VIX is down now 6%. Big down move for the VIX. But overall, guys, talk about volatility. This is insane. He was also asked, will all depositors be bailed out in terms of all the banks out there? Because we saw what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. The FDIC stepped in, right? They're pretty much guaranteeing all the deposits, right? And he was asked, will all depositors be bailed out in other banks? In the case that we get another bank failure, if I could talk today, guys, and maybe one of the other big banks. And he said, quote, and he says this all the time, we have the tools. You guys know that saying, right? The tools. We have the tools to protect depositors when there's a threat to the system. They're prepared to use their tools by all measures, right? And depositors should assume their deposits are safe. And of course, he's not going to come out and be like, imagine if he was asked, will all depositors be bailed out? And imagine if Powell was like, nah, they're not. Yeah, they're not going to be bailed out. They're screwed, right? Of course he's going to say they're safe, right? Of course he's going to say depositors should assume their deposits are safe. What is he going to do? Come out and say they're not safe? That makes complete sense to me. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Those are a couple of notes or key points here that I had written down that I wanted to go over with you guys. So, again, briefly, let's run this over. 25 basis point hike. They're not looking to cut rates this year. They might be pausing potentially after the May hike that's priced in, but who knows? Like always, the Fed's data dependent. They're going month by month during this crazy time period that we're living through. And essentially, he said that all banks, if they go under, depositors, all their deposits should be safe, right? They should get their money back in the case of a bank failure. Why do I keep talking weird today, guys? Failure is what I'm trying to say here. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. in the comments. And by the way, if you haven't gotten up to 17 stocks yet for Moomoo, use that link down below or go to stocksurfest.com/Moomoo. Once you open up an account, you get 1 free share of stock. If you deposit at least $100, you get 6 more free shares of stock. And if you deposit at least $1,000, it gets better. You get another 10 stocks, totaling 17 free stocks. And there's only a couple more days to do that, guys. It is limited time. Use that link down below. Get your free stocks. And full disclosure, it also helps out the channel. I appreciate you all as always. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, we have GameStop up 39% today. A lot of stocks are moving. First Majestic Silver, which dumped, I think, yesterday by a massive amount. That is moving up today, recovering some of the losses. It's up 9%. We have AMD up another 5%, which has been doing very well. This stock has been on fire. Same with NVIDIA. I mean, my goodness, guys. AMD now is by the highs from the middle of August. NVIDIA is now ripping towards the highs. Well, we can't even see the highs on the 4-hour chart because we're already plowing right through them. If we pop up the yearly chart, NVIDIA is now approaching the highs from a year ago, being about 290, 289.46 to be exact. Now the stock's at $272. So we do have a lot of movers out there, guys, and we'll talk more about these stocks in my later video. So make sure you all subscribe, hit that notification bell. You might as well smash the like button as well while you're at it. And feel free to check out my Patreon if you guys want to be a part of the Discord. You want to see my Patreon portfolio, how I build that out through, over time. That's on Patreon, and you get all my charts and thoughts throughout the day, and you get one-on-one access with me throughout the day. Use that Patreon link down below. I'll see you guys on the inside. I'll catch you later. Peace out.